Hello everyone, my name is Joy,
And my name is Laura.
and we are doing our concept map on the Chinese culture, and we hope you enjoy what we have learned. So this is an overview of our interview, and I actually interviewed a friend of mine here at Southern. So the person we interviewed is obviously from Chinese descent. She was born in the beautiful city of Hong Kong, and she lives in the city area, not too much in the country. And she is currently working on her bachelor's degree in health science.
So her primary language is Cantonese, and obviously she speaks English now. Her customary greeting in China is not really like shaking hands or kissing the cheeks or any of those kinds of greetings. It's more like a kind acknowledgement, smiling, nodding your head, something like that. Timeliness depends on who you are, where you're from, how you grew up, so it varies. Her speech pattern while we were talking to her is more of a higher speech. It's not like a low or monotone or anything like that. Physical touch is accepted from healthcare providers in China, and eye contact is maintained. And a lot of people think that Chinese people don't maintain eye contact, and a lot don't, but where she's from and how she grew up, they do maintain eye contact.
Family roles. So the primary decision maker is her dad, and a lot of decisions they make as a family, usually the dad has the final say. But of course, they consider each other's opinions. For female duties, it's very similar to here. They're in charge of childcare, cooking, organizing the household, and the men are usually in charge of the finances. Some things you're not allowed to do as a kid is, of course, drinking, smoking, doing drugs, and most especially having disrespectful behavior is not allowed. Also, the elderly are very respected because they've all been down the road that we're on, so they pass down wisdom and they share a lot of life lessons. She shared with us that in her home it's just her immediate family, and usually it's like that for most families in China. And since it was part of the interview, we asked her sexual orientation, which is, female, straight, and personally she doesn't agree with the different orientations, but she tolerates it and, of course, treats them with respect and love.
So as far as the workforce in China, timeliness is very respected there, and they like to be right on time, very punctual. Loyalty is very valued as well, and there's a high level of job assertiveness too. As we were talking to our interviewee, she told us that she tolerates working with different religious people, doesn't have to be of her own religion, and she's very independent in decision making, as well as everyone else in China as far as workforce issues.
Biocultural ecology. So, our interviewee shared with us that a disease common in her family is hepatitis, and one of the genetic diseases would be nasopharyngeal carcinoma. She shared that her grandfather had it and then her dad had it, so her dad had to get some part of that area removed. And she commented that some major health problems in China would be liver cancer because of drinking and lung diseases related to smoking.
So other high-risk health behaviors with cigarette smoke, um, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't chew tobacco, she doesn't drink, she exercises daily, she wears seatbelts, and precautions for STDs, she said abstinence.
For nutrition, she shared a couple of different foods that she usually eats. When she's sick, she tends to avoid fried foods and chips and anything that's not natural. So she tends to eat things like soups, rice, and fruits and vegetables. She was also sharing with us that food that's considered high status would be seafood because not a lot of people can afford that. And when it comes to holidays, she shared that there's a couple main ones, which includes New Year's, of course. And this is where they actually have a lot of fried foods because fried foods are golden, and it kind of symbolizes that the new year is going to be golden and it's going to be something really good. And they also wear a lot of red, which is like the symbol for life and good luck. They also have an autumn festival and a day to commemorate Buddha. And I forgot to mention that for New Year's they have a lot of mooncakes as well.
So for pregnancy and childbearing, obviously it's a time of joy just like in any other culture. Foods that they don't eat during pregnancy or even after birth, right away after birth, is cold foods. And foods that are eaten are red colored foods, and we'll explain that in a couple seconds. The delivery position is usually in bed, not in the water or sitting on a ball or anything like that. People present at birth are her husband and her mother, usually.
So, death rituals. Just a little side note, our interviewee, she grew up in an Adventist home. So she doesn't know too much about like the traditional Chinese burial rituals. But she did share a couple interesting things. Like, for example, the number 4 is considered unlucky because it's the same word for death. And I actually knew about that because in Japan they don't have any hospital rooms with the number 4 because it's the same, I guess, word for death. And when it comes to death rituals, black and white is avoided because it's bad luck. But a lot of people wear red. Like Laura was saying in the previous slide, red is like the color of blood, the color of life. So red is a very important color. When it comes to dealing with death, they're usually they're not as expressive as other cultures. They're pretty
Subdued.
Subdued, yes, that's the word I was looking for. And around the grave site, they usually bring food, money, and little origami articles or paper articles just for respect.
So her religion is Seventh-day Adventist, and she told us that she prays about 5 times per day, once in the morning and before every meal and then at night. And her life, where she finds life meaning, is from the Bible and from family. And her spiritual practices that she does is go to church and do outreach.
Health practices. So some prevention activities would include, of course, maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Also, she shared with us that before she'll go to the pills, she usually takes herbal medications for the milder sicknesses. When it comes to expressing pain, she's more stoic. She doesn't express it as verbally as other people, and I feel like the same is true for all of China. And most of the time, people are respectful towards people with physical and mental disabilities. They're tolerated and not shunned. She shared with us that when she's sick, her mom usually does a hot and cold compress. And in the healthcare system, blood transfusions and organ donations are accepted. And where she lives, healthcare is easily accessed.
For healthcare providers, usually it's the physician that they go to for healthcare, and the older the physician is, the more respected they are. When there's Western healthcare providers, there is some distrust when you go to them, and Chinese traditional medicine is more respected.
So just some preventions for primary prevention. She exercises and engages in a healthy lifestyle. And for secondary, she has her annual visits to the doctor, as well as blood pressure and blood sugar screening. And tertiary, after she's gotten sick and she's trying to get better, she just goes back to what she was doing from the beginning, which was exercising and staying healthy.
So our biblical principle that we chose was Exodus 20:12, honor your father and mother so that you may live long in the land that the Lord is giving you. And everybody knows that Chinese people really respect, they have respect and they like to honor older people, and this is the text that we felt fit with it most.
So just some personal reflections. Growing up in Saipan or in the islands, I had a couple of Chinese friends, but a lot of them were born there, so they didn't know that much about the traditional Chinese culture. So it was kind of nice speaking to someone who actually lived there and discovering new things about the Chinese culture, like the burial rituals and things like that.
Some surprising facts that I didn't know that they really respected the color red, and they wore a lot of red and ate red foods and stuff, so that was really interesting for me.
And when it comes to putting the culture to practice, if we have a Chinese patient, it's good to be mindful of bringing them cold foods and asking them if they would like cold foods or warm foods, just being respectful of their wants and things like that.
And as far as assumptions, I know a lot of people, they go to Asian night and everyone, even the Asians, joke about honoring your parents and stuff like that. And they do like to honor their parents, and and sometimes they don't maintain eye contact because of that respect factor. But it depends on where you come from, and you can't just assume that everyone doesn't maintain eye contact or respects their parents. I mean, what she was talking about is they do maintain eye contact where they're from, so you just have to get to know people and not have any assumptions.
So,
oops. Well, that's
so
the
this
end.
is the end of our presentation. Hope you enjoyed it and hope everyone has a good break.